addictive, it's inspiring, and once you start to get some answers, you're going to just want more and more. And the best part is, it's the best part and the worst part. Some answers you're never going to get. You're going to chase them forever. You're never going to get them. You're not meant to know everything in this life, right? But the pursuit of those answers, the pursuit of that wisdom, like the journey is the best. Hey guys, we're going to have a fun episode today. So today we are going to talk about fitting in with societal norms and the challenge that comes when you decide you just can't go along with everybody else, and you got to sort of break off and do your own thing. It's a scary thing. It's a terrifying concept for most people. This is going to be a fun episode. I think we're really going to enjoy this. New episode, Army of Great Men. Let's go. So this episode was actually inspired by my favorite book. Over the holidays, my girlfriend was, we were heading up to our aunt and uncle's cabin up in northern Saskatchewan. And so we were there for New Year's. And on the way, my girlfriend was like, I feel like I should read a book. And her favorite book happens to be my favorite book, which is pretty weird because most people haven't even heard of this book, at least most people my age. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to reread it. That's great. And so this is the book. It's called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's an easy read. Takes, if you're the slowest reader on earth, it might take you 2.5 hours. But for most people, it's probably, hour and a half sort of thing. It's a really interesting book. It's about this seagull named Jonathan Livingston. And it's sort of this fable, this tale about this seagull named Jonathan who he doesn't want to fly the way seagulls fly, right? So he's a part of this flock, and all these seagulls, they're, they say that flying is simply to, get food and just get from A to B, and that's kind of it, right? Like there should be no joy in flying. But that's not how Jonathan was wired. He was wired to do things that no seagull had ever done. He wanted to fly in ways that seagulls don't fly. Initially it was just like, I want to fly like a falcon, and then I want to break the sound barrier, and then I want to do this and I want to do that. But as he was doing that, his flock, they reject him. And ultimately he's given an ultimatum by his family, the people who love him most. And that ultimatum is fit in or flock off. Fit in or you got to leave. And, this book was written in, I think it was the 60s or 70s. But what a fitting thing for the world today, right? How many of us who have decided at some point over the last 5 years that, maybe the way society wants us to do things is, maybe it's not the right path for us. And maybe when we go internal and we think about our authentic selves and who we are, who we want to be, there might be that little nagging little voice saying, I don't think this is our path. But the cost of going away from that path, the cost of leaving the path that society says you better stay on this path or we're going to cancel you. It's a hard decision, right? It's a hard decision. But much like every form of growth, if you want to grow, it's probably going to involve a little bit of discomfort and pain. If you want to change, there's going to have to be that discomfort and pain. It's a really interesting topic. I'm not going to ruin any more of the book for you. I'm guessing you know what Jonathan chooses, right? I mean, it wouldn't be a very inspirational book if he just decided to go back to the flock and go back to scavenging junkyards for food. So obviously Jonathan takes the path of rejecting his family and his flock and everything in order to go find his own personal greatness. Guys, I can't recommend it enough. Go buy this book. You will love it. When I look at all of the gifts in my life, and particularly the gifts that allowed me to grow. And by the way, anybody who's ever had transformative growth in their life, they will tell you what I'm about to tell you. If you do it right, and if you go all in on that growth will be so transformative and so impactful for you, and it'll take you to places that you could never have gotten otherwise, right? Without that pain. You actually grow to be grateful for the pain. You grow to be grateful for the discomfort and all the shit you had to go through to get to where you want to go. And it doesn't mean that, if you had to do it again, you'd choose that pain, right? Like you wouldn't choose for, your mother to die, or your spouse to leave, or your this or your that or whatever. Like you wouldn't choose those things. But sometimes the biggest gifts are the ones that we don't choose. And while those gifts, and I don't want to sit here and say like, you should cheer for this pain, because obviously you don't want to cheer for the pain, but when you find it, you got to use it, right? You got to use that pain to take yourself to a place that you wouldn't otherwise go. Otherwise you just waste it, right? Because you're going to feel the pain either way. So since you're going to feel it either way, you might as well use it for something awesome. But in order to do that, it requires, there's no handbook on this. If there was, they wouldn't tell you, but you have to embrace the pain, and you have to embrace the challenges that come with it. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. You have to run towards that discomfort. And it sucks while you're doing it, right? Like, just like when you're at the gym and you're having that workout. Let's say you're in a class, or you're with a trainer or whatever, maybe you're just working yourself, and you're working harder than you want to work, and it sucks, right? Like you got to put your body through hell for a minute, but the reward you get for that is massive, right? It's the same thing with your mind, your soul, your everything, right? Sometimes you got to go through it, but choosing it, right? Choosing that discomfort, as Jonathan had to do, my boy Jonathan, he had to choose that discomfort. And that discomfort came from, he was going to be either uncomfortable sitting on the path that their family and their friends and society all said, you got to stick on this path, or we're going to get rid of you. You have to choose between that or leaving them behind to say, sorry guys, your path is not my path. There's something in here that I got to go see about. I got to go figure out what I'm made of. And I'm not going to figure that out by staying on this path of comfort and certainty that you are on. And by the way, if that's your path in life, if you don't feel called to get off the path, I'm not saying jump off just for the sake of jumping off. There's lots of people who they're going to have a really great life by just doing what the norms say to do, right? And if that's you, if that's who you are, stop listening to this episode. This isn't for you. This episode is not for you. But if you know there's something different, if you know that you're wired differently, if you know that there's right there something different, and you feel that call, that pull, you got a choice to make. You're going to have to know that one day you're going to be laying on your deathbed. If you don't go see, you might have some regrets about that, right? Regret's a hell of a thing to live with. And wondering if you should have gone and chased something, wondering if you should have taken a risk. Those are hard ones to live with, you guys. They really are. And the truth is, in almost every form of greatness, you have to be willing to do something hard to get it, right? Whether it fits in with society's idea of greatness or not is another conversation. But just about everybody who finds greatness, they're going to have to go through something hard to do it. And some of that greatness, you're going to have to go and, you're not going to find that greatness in a 9-to-5 job with just the most normal life in the world, right? I'm not saying go quit your job. That's not what I'm saying. But if you want to level up, you got to do this sort of thing. Anybody who's been listening to my podcast for the last year or so, you'd know that I've gone and done some things over the last couple of years that I certainly wasn't planning on doing. I went and explored things that I didn't even know I wanted to explore, all inspired by pain. And the truth is, I've lost this sort of happened before the last couple of years, but the truth is, ever since society has really been dividing us up, I've lost connection with a lot of family members who I just know that they don't want anything to do with me. They don't understand what I'm doing. They look at the paths that I'm choosing with confusion, right? They just don't understand, and that's okay, right? Not everybody's meant to. I don't look down on anybody or think less of anybody who can't see what I see. Not everybody's driven to get the answers that I'm seeking. It's funny. Over the holidays, I was talking to a relative. Man, I love like crazy, and we were talking about some of the work that I've done in the psychedelic world, particularly when I went down to Colombia for 3 ayahuasca ceremonies. And he said, "Well, like," and he wasn't like being critical of it, but he just wanted to understand. He said, "Well, what do you want to learn?" Like you say, like, or why do you want to do this? And I said, "Well, I want to learn. Like, I want answers." And he goes, "Why? Like, what answers do you think you don't have? Like, what is there?" And this is a man who's very, he's by the book. Like he's that's who he is. He's a by the book, do it the way they tell you to do it kind of guy. And he's built an amazing life by doing that. That's his path. But he looks at me with, I guess, just confusion. Like he's like, "Well, like, why? Like, what are you looking for?" And when I gave my answer, it's about really growing spiritually and leveling up in every way and getting a deeper connection to God. It just doesn't compute for him, right? Like he can see that it impacts me, and he can see that it's like, he can see that this is my path, and he's happy to respect that. But it'll be interesting to see, like, as I continue to go down this path, I wonder a little bit if it'll become harder to relate to one another. We'll still have our common ground and all those things, but I wonder. And I knew that going in when I started to do this work, that there was the potential to lose that connection with some of the people in my life, just as Jonathan had to, right? And it doesn't mean you got to just leave everybody behind, but just know that when you do this, you're going to learn things that you can't imagine not knowing, right? You're going to learn things about, like, I don't care which avenue you want to learn. I don't care if it's God or money or your career or your life or sex or anything. Like, I don't care what it is. I don't care which avenue you're trying to grow in. If you are going to grow in a way that is different from what society tells you to grow, then the people who just do it by the book, they're not going to understand it. And the further you go down that road, the more compelled you're going to be to go down that road, because once you get on this path of, like, where you're learning things and you're growing, you're doing all these things, it's addictive. Like, it is incredibly, incredibly addictive once you're on that path of growth, because you learn it. You're just like, I want to learn more and more and more. You're figuring out how things work, right? What a gift. As you're listening to this, it might come across as being really vague, right? Like, you might be listening to this and going, like, it's just too vague. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And if it is, sorry, it's kind of meant to be vague, because I don't want to tell you what your purpose is. Only you know that. Only you know where where to go. And like everybody's got greatness in them, right? Like everybody's got something. It's in there. Everybody's got something that makes them great. And again, like, I don't care what it is. I don't care what your greatness is. It could be, you could make the world's best Caesar salad. Like, I don't care what your greatness is. It doesn't matter. But you know what that one thing is, right? And chances are your greatness has something to do with that thing, right? When you're going to go find your thing in life, my guess is it's got something to do with that. And believe me, there's greatness in all of you. Everybody's got it somewhere. If you don't know where your greatness is, I'll make you an offer right now. If you don't know what your greatness is, I will have a call with you and I'll help you find it. I'd love to do that with you. Chances are your greatness lies it lies in something that you love and are passionate about, but you've never figured out how to turn it into something. It's there, you guys. Everybody's got it. Everybody's got a gift. God gives everybody at least one. The question is, well, how do you do it? What do you do with it? It's there, you guys. And if you need help finding it, I'd love to help you. One of the gifts that society has given us, right? Look at what's happening. I'm in Canada, right? Canada is in economic ruin right now. Like, we are a wasteland when it comes to our economy, and it's only getting worse. Like, our cost of living in this country is like, it is insane. And the amount of taxes that we pay, like, Canada's pretty broken. And I know we're going to have a new leader here soon, but like, it might be too big a hill to climb. Like, part of me thinks that like the best we're going to do is we're going to stop the bleeding, but like, I really don't know how we're going to dig out of this hole. And so when you look at that, you can look at that and go, well, you can look at it as a victim and go, well, I'm never going to be able to, if you're a young person, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. If you own a house, you might be going, I don't think I can afford the one I've got. Like, people are really struggling to make ends meet. And so you can look at that and go, the government did this to me and the economy did this to me, blah, blah, blah. You can look at it that way. And that's certainly your choice, your option. Or you can look at it the way I've explained to you, the way you got to look at any sort of hardship and loss, right? Like, there are opportunities to grow. And that discomfort is the fuel that you need to go, right? To get out of here, go. And so that applies to money too. I'm hoping my divorce is settled soon. And it's certainly going to set me back a little bit financially. And I had an epiphany when I was in Colombia. And that epiphany was, if you do what you've always done, you're never going to catch up, right? In terms of how I earn my money, I'm never going to be able to do it just based on what I've done in the past. I'm going to need to change some things. And I started to get really excited, really excited. I started to get like, okay, like, this is going to be fun. Like, it's going to be a new challenge. It's a new adventure. I mean, I've done the same job and I love my job. I've done the same job for, what is it now? 15 years. No longer than that, 20 years. But 15 with the company that I'm with now. And I'm not going to abandon that. I'm not getting rid of my day job. I love my day job. I love my clients. I love what I do, and I'm good at it. So like, there's no reason for me to do that. But for me to recover, for me to get to where I want to go, I got to go do something else too. I got to add something to what I'm doing. And actually, I'll tell. I wasn't going, but now that I'm talking about it, I might as well tell you what I'm going to do. My girlfriend and I are we're signed up to sell products for a company called LifeWave. And I'm pumped. Like, I'm so excited about it. I prayed and prayed and prayed. Like, okay, God, like, you put me in this point of discomfort. I know there's an answer. Like, there's something here for me. Could you give me a hint? And as soon as I learned about LifeWave, my sister told us about it. And as soon as I learned about it, it just made instant sense. If you want to learn about it, send me a note. I'll tell you about it. But basically what it is, you know those little white patches that you see athletes wearing? Like, Mike Tyson was wearing them all over his abdomen. They look like little white kind of Band-Aids. I actually thought that they were those insulin patches that people wear, right? Like the diabetics wear that monitor their insulin and give them the injection. I thought that's what it was. And it's not. It's these little patches. And there's loads and loads of literature. I can give you all sorts of info on it. But basically what it does is it reflects the natural infrared light that your body creates back to your body. And when it does that, there's a process that happens. And what it does, it stimulates stem cell production in your body. That's what it does. It stimulates your own body's natural stem cell production. And there's other ways to do this. Like you can go down to Panama and pay $20,000 to get a stem cell injection. And that's, if you can afford that, and that's your, like, great, good, go for it. There's also light beds that you can buy. They're like $100,000. Not everybody's got that ability. Or you can go and like pay to use a light bed like that. But then you got to leave your house and you go do it, and it costs a couple $100 to go sit in this bed for an hour. Or you can buy these patches for like $4 a day. I don't know if you can see mine's just, no, I can't. It's just sits on the back of my neck. It's incredible. So it allows me to recover much faster. I hurt my elbow on a golf trip in September. My ball was up against this big tuft of grass, and I thought I could swing through it. And so I just took my wedge and I just ripped as hard as I could. And when I got my club didn't move a millimeter, and I felt this pop in my elbow. And this was my UCL, which is one of the ligaments in your elbow, and it popped pretty good. Not a full tear, but like not ideal either. And it wouldn't heal, you guys. Like it just would not get better. I was going for like a couple treatments, but it really wasn't working, and it just would not get better. After the 4th day on the patch, I was pain-free. Pain was just gone. I sent a video to my trainer. There's those kind of water jugs, like for your water machine. I sent it to him, and I'm lifting this thing like it's nothing and no pain. And he sent me a note back. He's like, what seriously? Amazing. Just amazing. So, but there's a whole bunch of other great benefits to stem cells. I'm not going to go through it all today. But it's already had a major impact on me. And then they've got all these other patches too. That like there's a one for sleep and one for anti-aging and one for your skin. And like, it's just, anyway, I'm really passionate about it, and I'm really excited. And it's a wonderful answer to what the download that I had in Colombia, which was, okay, like if you're going to go and you're going to dig your way out of the hole that you're in after this divorce, you got to start doing some different things. You got to start chasing some things that are a little bit different from what, you typically do, right? Like I wasn't going to go get a second job on evenings and weekends. Like I wasn't going to do that. I want it to be fun, and I want it to be something that really helps people. And guys, like this product, like it's going to explode. The entire Green Bay Packers roster wears it. There's a whole bunch of other Olympians wear it. So it's right now, like it's really popular in the world of high-end athletics, but it's relatively unknown with the masses. And I think that there's an awakening from a health perspective happening all over the world, just because people are so sick everywhere. And I think people are starting to go, okay, we got to start looking at some other things here. And so I really think that this is about to explode. I'm pumped about it. My girlfriend's pumped. Excuse me. It's I'm excited. So, but again, I knew I wasn't going to get out of this, recover from this divorce by doing what I've always done. I got to go do something differently. And, I think that there's a lot of people out there who maybe aren't divorced, but, they're just realizing that their dollar is just not stretching as far as it used to. Right. I mean, in Canada right now, you go buy one bag of groceries, a paper bag of groceries. Paper bag of groceries is $100 for a paper bag full of groceries. And that's not like, that's no meat. That's no, laundry soap or anything like that. Like it's $100. It's insane how much it costs to live here. So we got to start doing some things differently. And, but no matter how you're trying to grow, no matter how you're trying to get there, no matter how you're trying to level up and be Jonathan, be great, you're going to have to be willing to get a little uncomfortable. And part of that discomfort is going to come from the fact that you're going to probably lose some people in your life. And lose, like you're still going to know them, you're still going to see them at Christmas, but they're just not going to be able to relate to you. And it's not going to cause fighting. It's not anything like that, but you're just going to leave some people behind. It's just the truth. And it's okay, right? Like they're going to take their own path. Everybody's going to do that, provided you've got the courage to take your path. So it's not, I don't say this with any animosity. I don't say it with like, you got to cut all your friends out of your life. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying abandon your family. I'm not saying stop going to Christmas. Like that's that's not it's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it is a natural evolution of this, particularly on the spiritual front. When you start to grow spiritually, you're going to gain a wisdom, and that wisdom is going to intimidate some people, and they're not going to like that, right? Because there are going to be those people in your life who they're only going to accept you if you do things their way and believe what they believe, and right, and they will be flat out threatened by the idea that you're going to go somewhere that they are either incapable or unwilling to go, right? So they're going to do everything they can to hold you back. And so they may try to sabotage you. They might try to cut you down. They might try to ridicule you, make you feel dumb for doing it. And like, it's funny, like all those things are in this book, right? Like his flock, like they're mocking him and ridiculing him. And he has to just decide, like, am I going to let this bother me or not? And you're going to have to make that same decision. Oh man, you guys, you got to read this book. Like, I'm sorry, go get it. Just go buy this book and read it. If you've made it to this point in the podcast, if you're here right now listening to it, it's because you are curious about like what that thing might be for you. Guys, I'm telling you, read this book. It's not going to be the answer to all your questions, but it's going to inspire you, I promise. And it's fun. Like, it's just a fun read. It's great. It's going to happen, you guys. You're going to leave some people behind, and that's okay. I actually think that there's a spiritual awakening happening all over the world right now. And I think from a spiritual perspective, we're almost on the cusp of having like two different species of humans. And it's not going to be, that line is pretty soon. It's not going to be defined by politics. It's going to be defined by a consciousness that you can only get if you're willing to go seek out a different relationship with God. And again, like I'm a Christian, that's my deal. I don't tell anybody what to believe. I sorry to be a broken record on this, but the only thing I care about is that you believe in something bigger than you. And hopefully that thing that's bigger than you inspires you to do good things for you and your family and for society, right? If that thing that's bigger than you is inspiring you to be a piece of shit, you probably picked the wrong one, or you're misinterpreting the message, one of the two. But again, so I'm not going to sit here and say, you have to do it this way. It's got to be this way. It's not. You're going to go find your own path. You're going to chart your own course up that mountain in your connection to God. And it's fun, you guys, when you start going down that road, like I said before, it's addictive. It's addictive. It's inspiring. And once you start to get some answers, you're going to just want more and more. And the best part is, it's the best part and the worst part. Some answers you're never going to get. You're going to chase them forever. You're never going to get them. You're not meant to know everything in this life, right? But the pursuit of those answers, the pursuit of that wisdom, like the journey is the best, right? And then when you have those answers, you're going to have them. I remember before my last ayahuasca ceremony in Colombia, it was on my second cup, and I'm just about to drink it, and the Taita's holding the cup for me, and I'm just about to drink it. And I go like this and I stop. And I go like this and I stop, and I went, I just stopped and I went, I think I'm going to learn something here. And I paused for a second and I went, this is going to be the last time right now. This is going to be the last time that I don't know something that I'm about to learn. And that thing that I learned is going to be with me for the rest of my life. And so I just sat there for a second and went, this will be the last time I feel this way. Pretty soon I'm going to feel differently because I'm going to know something different. That's pretty cool. It might sound dumb to you. I don't care. It's pretty cool, right? Because that's the beauty of knowledge and wisdom, is once you have it, you have it. And you're only going to get that if you're willing to go do things that are a little bit different. So anyway, guys, it's going to be a short episode today. I'm going to leave it off here. This is our first episode of 2025. I am going to ask a favor of you. The feedback that I'm getting on my podcast has been really, really good. I had outside of Apple Music, and I'm not sure why I can't track what's on Apple Music, but between Spotify and YouTube, there were over 5,000 downloads last year. I think the number is actually closer to 7 or 8 if we include Apple. But anyway, that's great for the first year. It's wonderful. The most surprising thing was that most people who listen to a couple episodes listen to most of the episodes. So that's really good. So that means if you're listening to this, it means that, you're liking it and you're listening to more. That's great. The other thing that was really interesting is this podcast was downloaded in 26 countries worldwide. That blew my mind, right? Blew my mind. That was not something I was expecting. 26 countries. That was really cool. But the one thing that I don't think is happening as much as I would love in order for this thing to grow is I need this content to be shared. Every podcast I've ever listened to has been sent to me by somebody else, right? Somebody else went, oh man, check this podcast out. You're going to love it. I generally don't find them by going on Instagram or anything like that. I find them because somebody I know and trust said, Adam, you got to listen to this. This is right up your alley. You're going to love it. And they're always right. Whenever they send me that, I listen to it. So if you know of other people that you think would like this content, and you think that the content that I'm creating is good and strong, and hopefully trying to make the world just a little bit better than it would be without it, please share it. Please send people this content, and maybe choose an episode that you think will really resonate with them. It's such an honor to do this. I'm so excited for 2025. 2025 is going to be a really big year for me personally. It's a comeback in some other ways, and again, hopefully my divorce is settled here soon. I'm going on year 3. Hopefully it's done this year. Yeah, I'm just really excited for where the show is going and where I'm going and where you're going. So anyway, if we can work together on getting to that place of strength, that's great. And you know what? If we got to leave part of our flock behind, don't worry, guys. There's lots of people in the flock where you're going. They're there, and they are going to be. They're going to be people that are going to impact you in ways that you can't consider yet. I promise you. You put great like-minded people down the similar path, and everybody's going to get there faster. We're all going to be stronger for it. So anyway, thanks guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Short but sweet episode. Army of Great Men. Please tell your friends. Thanks guys.